You see this tiny drip right here? Well, it actually takes 40 gallons worth of these to make 1 gallon of what you see in the store. These animals right here are just some of 80 rescued from horrific conditions inside a local woman's home. So step 1, you get a bottle of soapy water. Step 2, you spray that soapy water onto the connection points of the hose down here. And step 3, you turn on the propane tank, and if you get any soapy water bubbling up, that means you have a leak. The investigation into the plane crash is underway. In fact, this morning drones are in the area taking a map of the wreckage. So how it works is you take this machine right here, you breathe into it, and then if you want to get a more specific reading, all you do is shut this door.
Parkersburg will soon start cleaning up 6 homeless encampments believed to be abandoned. Our Laura Bowen spoke with the Mayor Tom Joyce, who believes the former encampments have become dump sites.
For now, signs are posted notifying people that the former camps will be taken down.
There's 6 total sites that are just full of litter, all myriad manners of detritus. I mean, everything from stuffed animals to remanded clothing, busted electronics, I mean, you name it.
Cleaning up homeless encampments isn't anything new to the city of Parkersburg. Mayor Joyce says the city's taken down about 12 camps over the past 5 years. However, this time they're hiring a third-party contractor to do it.
That's not what our folks were hired to do. That's not our core mission.
While homeless encampments can get dirty, it's not because its former inhabitants didn't care. Ellie Johnson with West Virginia Coalition to End Homelessness explains that homeless people are in a trauma mindset.
The mindset of those who are experiencing homelessness, it's not, let's just be lazy and throw this away and have other people clean up our messes. It's, I need to make sure that I'm safe. I need to make sure that I'm fed. I need to make sure that I'm warm.
On top of that, they don't always have the resources to keep the space clean.
If you are experiencing homelessness and your blanket gets wet, right, you don't really have anywhere to go and dry it or prevent mold. Or if you have old food containers that you have or storage containers that had food in them, again, where are you going to really put them without potentially being targeted for trespassing or getting fined for using a public dumpster?
Cleaning up encampments isn't the only recent work Parkersburg has done in response to homelessness in the area. Joyce says for the past year and a half, the city has been using homeless outreach coordinators to connect people living outside with resources.
It could be anything from getting someone into an apartment, helping them get into an apartment, getting someone into a shelter, getting someone into a treatment program. The reunification efforts that we've done is simply getting folks who aren't from here, who have no friends or family here, back to where they're from.
Still, homelessness remains a challenge for Parkersburg.
I would hope that we could get to a point where we don't need 2 full-time homeless coordinators on the streets 40 hours a week. But the reality of it is right now we still do.
Laura Bowen, WTAP News, Parkersburg.
We have more details on WTAP.com, where we touch on why some people end up living outside rather than in shelters. There is a shortage of foster homes in West Virginia, and getting teenagers into homes is even more challenging. Our Laura Bowen talked to a teen that got adopted about the system.
For Alexis's 17th birthday, all she wanted was to get adopted, and this time her wish came true.
I started crying the second they asked if they wanted the responsibility of having me as their kid, and I just started crying, and I was so happy.
Alexis was placed under the care of her ROTC instructor the day she was put into the system.
He noticed something was off with me and got me to open up, and then from there on I was like, I want to go home with him. That's my family. That's the family I choose.
However, not all older kids in the foster care system are as lucky. According to Adopt U.S. Kids, about 20,000 youth ages 18 to 21 age out of the U.S. foster care system each year.
A lot of times they become our homeless adults and could even fall into, drugs and crime. If they don't have that love and stable place as adults, they don't have that support. They don't have someone to call, ask advice, to help them out. They don't have a place to go like for holidays.
Jody Null and Angela Hatfield of the Children's Home Society of West Virginia say many foster families are drawn towards younger kids for those sentimental firsts. However,
A lot of teens, I mean, they've not been on vacation, they've not been to a sleepover, maybe even had a birthday party. Things I feel a lot of people take for granted.
the Rickard family knows from firsthand experience that a teenager's firsts can be just as special.
Christmas was really different for me. I made a list of asking for pens, Sharpies, because I grew up not getting that. That's all we could afford. And my first Christmas, they got me a TV, AirPods, Apple Watch, DVD player, all kinds of clothes, LED lights. They got me a lot of things that I never thought I would have growing up.
Null and Hatfield add that many older kids in the foster care system get a bad rap for things outside of their control, like multiple placements, which can be the result of sickness or death in a foster family.
I know a lot of people look at teenagers as bad kids, that they don't have a lot of hope, but we do, and we want that loving from a family, and that's all we've ever wanted.
For Alexis, becoming a part of her new family was transformational.
I went from F's and D's to being principal's list and not knowing what I wanted for after high school, and now I'm going to be a firefighter while getting my nursing degree.
Null and Hatfield say while older kids can have more trauma, there are resources out there to support foster families. In Parkersburg, Laura Bowen, WTAP News.
The Ohio Department of Natural Resources had issued a permit for an injection well in Little Hocking. Some locals and the Little Hocking Water Association fear the project could pollute their drinking water. Our Laura Bowen has the story.
What you're seeing here is the site of a Class 2 injection well.
They're using these wells to dispose of all those unwanted liquids from drilling and fracking.
It's owned by Arrowhead Road Services, LLC, which now has the green light to build another one in the area. There have been several local meetings about the next well. Linda Aller, a hydrogeologist who works with the Little Hocking Water Association, says the well could interfere with unplugged orphan wells that might be in the area.
There's a lot of wells that were drilled in the old days where nobody knows where they really are, that weren't correctly plugged.
The consequences of that would be contaminated drinking water and environmental pollution, according to Aller. She explained that injection wells inject fluid into the ground, which creates pressure, which could force the fluid back up if there's a hole from an orphan well underground.
If it comes back up, it can then move into the shallower formations, which are where you get your water supply from.
The Ohio Department of Natural Resources says it cannot calculate the risk orphan wells pose, but acknowledges that the risk is there. It is not known how many undocumented orphan wells are in Ohio. Aller says there's also a fault line in the area that may interfere with the well, causing the fluid to spread beyond the area intended, contaminating drinking water and the environment.
If these fluids, when you put them in and you put them under pressure, they can move along those faults, or they can actually cause the faults to move. So if the faults move, that's an earthquake.
The ODNR states that there's a seismic monitoring network nearby that will monitor the new well. It says that information already collected shows the ground can withstand the project. Aller says she is also concerned about trucks bringing fluids to the site having spills, which would contaminate the water supply.
A spill on the surface would take whatever brine was in the truck or whatever fracking fluids were in the truck and dump them directly on the surface.
The ODNR says surface spill contamination is rare. Still, Little Hocking Water Association is taking proactive measures.
After our meeting at the St. Andrew's Church, the board, we decided to do sampling. For the next 2 years, every quarter, we're going to sample our well field to make sure that there hadn't been any changes.
It's a precaution they've already put in place for Arrowhead's other well in the area, according to the Water Association's general manager. Aller says it's too soon to say whether there's fallout from that well. ODNR says that it reviewed the well application to make sure both the environment and public health are protected during the well's operation and construction. Arrowhead has not responded to our multiple requests for comment. Laura Bowen, WTAP News, Belpre.
Today, we are taking a deeper look into the baseball and soccer fields resolution that Vienna City Council voted to pass. Our Laura Bowen has more on why some people are upset and where they go from here.
It's a measure that stirred up passionate pushback from members of the baseball community, both from parents and coaches.
Please reconsider for our kids. We do not want to lose what we've built for so many years, trying to get this back on track.
What we're advocating for is youth sports. But see, what's happening is you're going to take some away to accommodate one. That's what's happening with the solution that you guys voted on.
Recently, City Council voted to replace 3 Jackson Park ball fields for the sole use of youth soccer. While some officials have said that they don't plan on cutting programs, some locals fear that it's inevitable.
And it definitely will impact how many kids can play baseball, without a doubt. There's no way to fit them all in 3 fields.
Baseball coach and parent Charlie Taylor says even if officials decide to move the baseball fields to another location, he's doubtful it would logistically work for the baseball community.
For instance, I'll have a 4U game at, from 5 to 5:45 on field 5. And then I've got an 8U game at 6 on field 1. So if field 5 is now 15 minutes across town, then how am I supposed to get from my 4U game to the 8U game in a reasonable amount of time? There's only so many hours after work on a weekday to do these games, and that's when we play them.
Park Department Director Steve Black says he's the only one on the VRIA, also known as the Vienna Recreation and Improvement Association, who's pushing back against the measure.
The question is, without those fields, what are we going to do? And I've told them we would have to cut programs and turn kids away.
The resolution was recently discussed at a town hall held by City Council members Kim Williams and Chris Mancuso. Both emphasized working towards a compromise.
A resolution is, it can be changed pretty easily.
One idea some people have voiced their support for is only taking 1 field away from baseball.
Taking field 4 alone would still have impact, on us and on the baseball program, but it would have a significantly less impact than if they took fields 5 and 6.
Williams and Mancuso say they want to put a pause on any further action until they can get officials and the baseball and soccer communities together to discuss.
It's not like we're tearing up those fields with bulldozers right now. We're not going to make any moves. And I think everyone is on the same page about that.
The VRIA has faced criticism over how they handled the situation from the baseball community. The board voted unanimously for the measure before it got to City Council. To clarify, Black was out of town during that vote. Both Black and some members of the baseball community say the VRIA lacked effort in getting feedback from people who would be impacted by the resolution. Locals have also expressed frustration over what they call a lack of transparency. Multiple people say they've had trouble getting a hold of the VRIA.
Well, Chuck Knopfsinger won't be turning down my calls. Won't be turning some other people here phone calls.
We've reached out to the VRIA president, Chuck Knopfsinger, throughout the week, but he has not gotten back to us. Laura Bowen, WTAP News, Vienna.
Both Williams and Mancuso expressed regret over their votes for the measure. We will have more details on this issue in our online article. In March, we told you about a woman that lives in Elizabeth that is fighting a $1,400 water and sewer bill. She filed a formal complaint against the Claywood Park Public Service District and West Virginia Public Commission. Laura Bowen has the story.
Doris Wayne has been living at the same residence for over 20 years and has never had a bill quite like this. It states that she used about 90,000 gallons of water. The total cost is more than she makes in a month.
I'd like for them to tell me if I use that water, where is it?
To put this into context, of the 10 months leading up to the $1,400 bill, all bills stayed in the 60s cost-wise, except 3. Of the 3, one was $51, another was $70, and the other $100. Since the $1,400 January bill, her bills have dropped significantly, but are still much higher than usual. Think $113 the following month and $163 the next. Now she's fighting February and March's bills as well.
They don't have any reason. They don't have any explanation except pay it.
Still, A.J. Allen of Claywood Park Public Service District says multiple public service districts looked at the meter, all determining that it was working. Allen added that although no leak was detected on the Claywood's first visit to the residence, the leak indicator went on and off on the second visit. It is unclear if Miss Wayne was notified of the second visit, but WTAP has not been able to get a hold of Allen for comment despite multiple attempts and voicemails. So far, nothing has qualified for a bill adjustment. The utility company is only responsible for water until the point of the meter.
The utility company cannot, nor are they responsible to determine what happens to the water after it runs through the meter.
The situation was later put into the Public Service Commission's hands as an informal case. Through this, the Commission's engineers swapped out Miss Wayne's meter and electronically downloaded data about her water usage. They decided that the bill was accurate. Again, nothing qualified for a bill adjustment.
Historically, if the customer has repaired the leak and has evidence that the leak has been repaired, utility companies are usually very accommodating in forgiving at least a portion of the bill.
Miss Wayne hired plumbers to look for a leak in April, and they found none. Although the plumbers were not there when the alleged huge leak occurred, they say it's impossible for a leak that size to fix itself. Also, it would be hard to miss.
90,000 gallons is a lot of water, and that can cause a lot of damage. Like if it was inside, then it would have ruined all kinds of floor. If it was outside, it would have looked like she had a swamp out in her yard.
Still, the buyers say while a hidden leak of this size is extremely unlikely, it isn't impossible. Miss Wayne says there was no sign of leakage before the bill, and there hasn't been a change in her water usage. Claywood has since sent a cutoff notice to Miss Wayne. This has been postponed since she filed a formal complaint. Miss Wayne is not using an attorney due to the cost. Laura Bowen, WTAP News. The Rose Parade has helped ring in the new year for decades, and for one Belpre High School music teacher, playing in the parade is something he's dreamt of his entire life. Our Caitlin Strader shows us how this teacher made that dream a reality. A Parkersburg home caught fire today. A house on the 2000 block of 16th Street caught fire early this evening. It was a vacant house. The fire department deemed the house a total loss. It suffered both smoke and water damage. The call came in around 5:50 p.m. Even though the house is vacant, neighbors say they saw people in the house right before the fire.
First, my friend noticed smoke coming out the side of the house here. And I had my trailer parked beside it here, so we wanted to hurry up and get the trailer out. And I was on this side getting ready to pull the trailer, and it was pretty hot. It was well over 100 degrees, and that was before the fire actually started real good.
And I walked out through my yard to see if anyone was running out of the house, and I noticed black smoke started coming out of the window, and it was just no time it was up in flames. It went pretty fast.
A neighboring house also suffered from damage due to the fire being so hot. Fire officials say the siding melted. The Taste of Parkersburg was back tonight after a 2-year hiatus due to COVID. People swarmed downtown, sipping on beers and good food. Live music filled the air and people happily soaked in that atmosphere, chatting with friends and family. It's a tradition for many locals. One says he's been going for years.
I think it is definitely the most exciting event of the year. To see this many people, I'd say it's definitely Parkersburg's biggest event. And it's really nice to have all the restaurants and all the different wineries and stuff in one place.
Huffman says his favorite part of the event is the entertainment. The event ran from 5 to 11 tonight. Parkersburg High School held their graduation this weekend on the football field. Every seat at the graduation was filled but one. That one seat amongst all Parkersburg seniors was occupied by a rose. That rose you see was placed in honor of Elijah Clark. Clark died of cancer in 2018 when he would have been a freshman at Parkersburg High School. 4 years later, in spirit, he graduated surrounded by his friends and family. Do you love ice cream? If so, good news for you. The Parkersburg Ice Cream Social will be held tomorrow.